There are also demonstrable economic benefits. According to Ford data, Haitian TPS holders alone contribute $5.9 billion annually to this economy, to our economy, $805 million in federal and payroll tax, and $755 million in state and local taxes. As we continue to grow critical industries in South Florida, Haitians will continue to play an indispensable role in helping Miami-Dade County be the best place to work, live, and play. I respectfully seek the support of my colleagues on this item, on this urging, not only because it's the right thing to support, but for the clear positive impacts on our economy. And let me add, most of the TPS holders live right here in Miami-Dade County. There are more TPS holders here than any other place in the U.S. Thank you for your support.
All right, so just for procedural reasons, the attorney's approached me. I'm officially adding this item onto the agenda. And I have to open up reasonable opportunity on this item. Those that have seen what this item is, if there's anyone that wishes to speak, now would be the time. Seeing none, reasonable opportunity is now closed. I will have Commissioner Cohen-Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I simply ask the sponsor if I can be listed as a co-sponsor
Yes.
on this
Thank you so
important item, and I think it's particularly timely considering that we are all celebrating Haitian Heritage Month. Thank you for bringing the item. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair.
Yes, and I'd like to serve as a co-sponsor as well, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I would also.
Thank you.
So showing Garcia, Lopez, Gilbert, Steinberg, myself, and Cohen-Higgins as co-sponsors of the urging, and Orbis, you're recognized, or just to, okay, and Orbis as well. All right.
Sorry, if I may.
Well, yes, with that, there's a motion on the urging by Commissioner Bastian, seconded by Commissioner Lopez. Senator Garcia, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to thank Commissioner Bastian for bringing this important item to the County Commission. And listen, I recognize, and I think we all recognize that temporary protective status is temporary. But when we look at the issues of Haiti, both politically and what's happened after the earthquakes, and geographically what's happening in the country, I think we recognize that that temporary issue is still going on. And it's not, as a community who have worked alongside our Haitian American brothers and sisters, have to recognize that what's good for one should be good for all. And we need to make sure that we stand arm in arm with our Haitian brothers and sisters in supporting them, especially in this time of need. I understand the issues that we're facing along the border. I'm one that always decided that we should shut down the border and make sure we return the criminal element. But when we start going a little deeper and a little further, a little harder into our communities, that sends a bad precedence. We're better than that. And I think by us being able to stand up with our brothers and sisters, our Haitian brothers and sisters, especially as a Cuban American, it's an honor to be able to do that with you, along with you and the county commissioners, to ensure that we say, let's give our Haitian brothers and sisters the same chance that other communities have had. So for me, Commissioner Bastian, I appreciate you bringing this, and for me it's an honor to co-sponsor this alongside you.
Thank you, Senator.
All right, so I have a motion, I have a second. I'll call it, what, you want to speak? Oh, co-sponsor, Hardeman, show him as a co-sponsor as well. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Show the urging pass. Congratulations, Commissioner Bastian.
Thank you, Chair.
All right. Our, I guess, last item-ish of the second readings is our CDMP item. 7D. Does the director or anyone need to read anything into the record?
Okay, Mr. Chair, yes, 7D is an ordinance relating to Miami-Dade County Comprehensive Development Master Plan, providing disposition of application number CDMP 2023-13, located west of Northwest 137th Avenue and SR 836 interchange, and north side of the theoretical Northwest 6th Street, filed by Kelly Tractor Company in the May 2023 cycle, to amend the county's Comprehensive Development Master Plan, providing severability, exclusion from the code, and an effective date, and its supplements.
All right. To the applicant, do you need to add anything to the record?
Chairman, yes, if we can have
4 minutes just to update the board on the latest needs analysis. I will actually turn it over to Mr. Paul Lambert, who will walk everybody through the needs analysis.
Awesome. Mr. Lambert, just please reintroduce yourself. And
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Paul Lambert with the firm of Lambert Advisory.
I think we need the address for the record.
Sure. 2199 Ponce de Leon Boulevard, Coral Gables. We've completed two approaches to needs analysis. First is the traditional needs analysis under the CDMP, asking, is there enough vacant or underutilized land inside the UDB to support 10 years of industrial demand countywide and in the planning tier in which the project is located. After a detailed analysis of land holdings by land holding, going property by property, as part of our analysis provide to staff, the answer is clearly no, there's not enough land. The county will run out of land in the north central tier between 2030 and 2032, which is only 4 to 6 years from now. And that's even using fairly suppressed absorption of space that's estimated by the county. In fact, there's been 4.4 million square feet of industrial space that's been developed per year over the past 10 years in the county. The projections now from Oxford Economics are that's going to be another 2.9 million per year. And by the county's most aggressive estimate of absorption is somewhere between 2.2 and 2.5 million per year. So we're running out of land very quickly and substantially more quickly than the county RER zone projections. The needs assessment number 2 that we completed is a bit different and fairly unique. And the question was, why does Kelly Tractor need 150 acres of land to support their operation when, and this has been in the staff report, given the fact that Kelly has 9 to 10 acres of open space across a busy 3-lane road from their main headquarters facility, which was first built in 1971 and is currently, by any standard, obsolete. So you first need to understand Kelly, which is really Caterpillar at the end of the day, as one of the few American manufacturers, equipment companies, which continue to be the dominant player in their field. They have developed an ecosystem around their company, not unlike Boeing. They're actually not that different in size as companies as Boeing, where they take customers from sales all the way through training, organization, working with those customers on rehabilitation, finally selling and financing their product. It's very different than many other companies, and as a result, they have 40% market share in the market. In the local market, they are providers during hurricane recovery. There is 110 megawatts of energy that's sitting on Kelly's property at any given time, which is the equivalent to a mid-size utility power plant. They are they're the equipment provider largely to the $23 billion Everglades restoration project immediately to the west. So Kelly is in a position where they can only build another 130,000 square feet of space on what is vacant land currently, but is really utilized as open space. And they really need to be able to expand their operations in a significant way for a variety of reasons. While the proposed site is 246 acres in total, the reality is the developable area is only 150 acres. There is retention, there is wetlands, there's GMX acquisition that brings them down from 246 acres to 150 acres. And so what they're looking to do is develop 2.8...
Excuse me, Mr. Lambert?
Yes, sir.
Can we quiet down in the chamber? Because I hear more background noise than I hear Mr. Lambert speaking. He's got a microphone. Continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what they're seeking to do is to develop about 2.8 times the amount of space on the first phase as they currently have. Why do they need to do this? Number one, they have outgrown their current facilities, which are, as I noted before, are obsolete, and needed immediate expansion of indoor space as well as outdoor space. They will also be consolidating, they cover a region of 13 counties. They'll be consolidating operations or parts of operations from the other counties into this current facility that they're not able to accommodate in their existing headquarters as well. And they also need to be prepared for growth in the market. Woods & Pools Economics, a national economics firm, projects between 2025 and 2060, total personal income is going to grow in the 13-county region, and even much higher percentage within Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County, is going to grow by 2.3 times. The best measure of overall economic growth regional product, will also grow by 2.3 times. And if you look at it, that is almost double the amount of growth on an annual basis than between 1971 to 2024. And the reason for that is the baseline is so much higher than it was back over the past several years.
I know that the 4 minutes are up, but I think this is important.
30 seconds, just to
You got 30 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, in the context, so in that context, needing to build 2.8 more times of indoor space for the first phase and having 3 times the outdoor space to accommodate that consolidation is critical to the company's future. And given the history of this company, which extends beyond 90 years, having the opportunity to build more than that as the company continues to grow and the market continues to grow is central to their business plan and operation and the health of it going into the future. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert. I'm going to start with the mayor this time around, and then we'll come back to the county commission. But Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you to Mr. Kelly and to all those working with you. Obviously, you're a wonderful company and you've done a great job. I want to back up and just talk about the CDMP, Community Development Master Plan. It's a county policy that guides our growth, and the policy lays out a number of factors to be considered in deciding when, where, and how to grow. And a needs assessment is one component in determining whether we should allow growth outside the urban development boundary. And ultimately, the decisions that are made require a balancing of many factors. As to the determination of needs specifically, which we have an initial presentation we received on Saturday from Mr. Lambert and the team, the quantitative portions are essential, but so are the qualitative quality of life impacts. And in the end, the facts that have been presented thus far and review of other considerations, I do not believe have provided an adequate case for the project of this size outside the urban development boundary, even though a portion is within the urban expansion area, and I do want to make that point. The company has not demonstrated through expansion or limited existing capacity the need to triple the size of their current footprint, after we have not seen any substantial change in the use of their existing site in 40 years. And we've not received yet anything that's clear and persuasive on the need for expansion, although this is clearly a successful and growing company that provides valuable services. And we recognize the great work that the company and its dedicated employees provide to the community. We did receive this additional information on Saturday, and on first reading of it, because we did work throughout the weekend to review it, we still do not believe that it has been adequately demonstrated that the required need for the expansion exists.
Thank you,
Mr. Chair.
Senator Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question on process, if that's okay, if I may, because on the item itself, and I appreciate the mayor's comments. I know we've been talking about the issue of the text amendments and so forth. To the county attorney's office, if we were to have them reapplied through the regular channels, what would be that process? Can that process be expedited? Because obviously, there's been a lot of money and time has been put into this, and I think some of the commissioners here may have an issue with the process of the text amendment, correct? How would that process, Mr. Chairman, how would that process look if we could try to expedite through the other?
But Senator Garcia, and I think you're asking a very valid question. I still have, I answer that question, but how would that change anything, right? And not to mention, like, even if we were to make a decision today, Senator, because I'm following what you're saying, but as a small business owner myself, even if we were to make a decision today, and I don't know that we would, but to waive all fees to apply as an expedite, I mean, the fees that they're spending as a business
I get that.
in their team and their lawyers, I mean, we have to be cognizant of that and be sensitive to that. We're becoming a burden to businesses. So it's easy for all of us. And I'm not saying, I'm not calling anybody out, but it's easy for all of us to just get a microphone and talk about how we're business friendly, and we're small business friendly, and we're medium business friendly, and we're, Florida's open, Miami-Dade County is open for business, and we're doing all these programs. This isn't at you, by the way, Senator. I'm piggybacking on your question. But then we make these decisions, and I do thank you for trying to at least find a solution to this. You're trying to give this some solution, but we're not, even if we were to waive our fees and expedite it, the amount of tens of thousands of dollars that goes into just even an application, that they've done the right way, that they did based on what they were asked to do, that they did based on what the neighbors did. Like, they didn't do anything. They followed what they had to follow, what they were told to follow. So that is my concern with, like, if the votes aren't there, the votes aren't there. It's not fine for them, but it's the decision of this body. But it's just like, we got to stop burdening these, this extra 2 weeks that we gave them, or a week and a half, whatever it was. I mean, that cost Kelly Tractor's money. That week and a half cost them. Those guys sitting up there I know I complimented one of their lawyers a few months back because they're so good, but their billable rate, and I keeping you in business, my friend, but that's not my job. Right, is like, that's costing them tens of thousands of dollars just in a week and a half. If we now have them go reapply, it takes another few months, or a month and a half, 2 months, 3 months. That's tens of. I mean, it's just not. We can't talk out of both sides of our mouth. You're not doing that. I'm certainly not. But we can't. We've got to make a decision. As to, But go ahead. I didn't mean to steal that question, but I think we're on the same
Chairman,
page.
you have the prerogative.
No, I think we're on the same page with it.
And I appreciate you for your comments. The reason that I ask those questions, because you feel the sentiment sometimes of the Board of County Commission. And I think I know where we may or may not, well, I think we know where we may be. And I think what I've heard from the advocates and what I've heard from folks on the County Commission is that they felt a little consternation with the process of the text amendment, right? That's the last one, because for me, I want to thank Kelly Tractor, because you guys did what I asked. And that was the making sure that we addressed the mayor's concerns in the memo with the 60 acres. I don't want to be a hypocrite up here. You guys, some of my friends out there know how I feel about the line issues. But yes, the text amendment may be, the private use of the text amendment may be a little difficult for some people to accept up here. So this is why, Mr. Chairman, if the county attorney's office can ask what that process will look like to try to give them some stability, I guess, or timeframes, so then we could either go down that path or just take the vote up or down here now.
Through the chair. Senator, there is an existing process for expedited CDMP applications. If, for example, Kelly Tractor were to apply for a UDB application, that is something that they could do. There is and there are, however, in the code, and this is by ordinance, certain application timeframes. If you can give us just a moment, I would like to just look at those, because there's certain, in general, UDB applications are submitted, I believe it's on every 2 years.
No, Mr. Chairman, I just wait for the attorneys to come back with that information. And again, I understand the money that has been invested, and I understand, try to come to a happy medium here where we preserve the use of the text amendment along with, understanding that the wetlands were preserved, 60 acres were given back to the county, and understanding that the general business in that area is high impact, especially when we look at the north to the north of Kelly Tractor, you have the rock miners, and this is where I'm trying to see if we can land this and try to move this forward in one way that will really, one, help one of the longest employers in our community, and two, minimize the impact to our environment, and three, trying to preserve the use of the UDB. So this is where I'm trying to get to, Mr. Chairman. So, thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Commissioner Gilbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm completely not surprised by the administration's position. They have been uniquely consistent about they're not going to change in this. And I didn't think deferring. The only reason I was okay with the deferral was because the dais said that more information and a more expanded needs analysis might help us in getting through this application. When the time comes, if no one else wants to make it, I'll make the motion to approve. Oh, okay, JC's going to make it, then I'll second it. It's his district, I'll second it when its time comes. But, because I've been uniquely consistent also. But I believe, I did the count in my head the last time. I did not take notes. I'm trying to remember. We were just waiting to hear from Commissioner Regalado on this. If she was willing to, if she had gotten the information that she needed. And so if she got the information she needed, if it's consistent, then it is. We don't have to prolong this or belabor this with another. We've talked about this stuff a lot at this point. So, that's what I need from the chair. If I could ask my colleague, did you get what you need? That's all I need to know.
Commissioner Regalado, you're recognized.
Thank you. I appreciate the protagonism. So I want to say that first, I said when we set it for today that it was going to be tight, and it was tight. We got this late Sunday. So, going through it, I haven't been able to meet with staff about it. I went through it. I have my notes. I have my questions. I would prefer if we had more time. I would request more time. But let me ask them some questions on the record, because I think that there is information here and clarifications that can make staff and the mayor feel better. I just think it's not all here. So here are my questions. So if you can answer them, come on up. I know you've been working 24/7 on this.
I will entertain the ebb and flow in Q&A.
Thank you. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank you for the different information that we were given on the projects. The Everglades restoration, the natural disaster, the mining, the private contract, the FDOT. That's all great. You start with a comparison of Boeing, and you talk about Kelly and Caterpillar. And one of the issues that staff has is you've had this property for all of this time. Why haven't you expanded it? That seems to be the current situation, because we've explained in the needs assessment a lot. So last night I had to do a lot of research on Caterpillar, which I wasn't happy to do, but here we are. Because while you mention the CAT comparison, and then you also talk about the exclusivity, it's important to note that not mentioned in here, which might help us answer some of these questions, is that you don't, when you start talking about Caterpillar's history, Caterpillar doesn't really start, cooking with gas until 1977, right? That's when they start their high drive design. Then you have in 1985, you have a backhoe loader, right? That changes the industry. In 1986, you have another change. In 1998 is when they start the line of compact construction equipment, which really starts changing the game, right? Then when you get to 2000, between the year 2000 and now, you have 23 acquisitions. Those 23 acquisitions is what provides value to Kelly's exclusivity agreement, because you had so much more competition in the field. So you start closing the gap on who can do this, and you also start changing the type of equipment that you have. So when you get to 2022 is when you have your first battery electric truck, right? And then this doesn't even speak to, I couldn't find any information on the history of the generators. But if you can speak to the change in the equipment and the use of it, because staff is saying, look, nothing has happened in 40 years, but Caterpillar has changed dramatically in the last 20 years. So can you give me some information on that and the forecast and how that changes the analysis?
Sure, and I do think some of these questions may be better answered by Mr. Kelly himself. You know, given the fact that he's been with us so long, and you know we're just analysts. But take your last point, Commissioner, which is the 2002 change, the batteries,
Yes.
for example. That really hasn't taken, effectively hasn't been rolled out to any extent yet. That's something that's going to be going forward, is going to be a core change in the industry. But in that case in particular, batteries are very sensitive. They can't be stored. These advanced batteries can't be stored outdoors, for example.
Which goes to the inside-outside part that you mentioned later on.
That's absolutely right. So the batteries themselves have to be stored indoors, oftentimes even in climate-controlled settings. Not to take the Boeing airplane example too far, but you know it's the difference between a F-35 and a Warthog, right? I mean an A-10, in terms of their ability to, you know, how advanced they are and what the needs are. One is climate controlled, one isn't. And so for all intents and purposes, those are core changes that are occurring as we speak. And I should point out, and I think the report does this, the fourth and seventh largest competitor to Kelly are two Chinese firms that are now their U.S. headquarters are in Georgia. The Chinese have much more advanced battery technology at this point than the U.S. And part of this is to make sure that Caterpillar, an American company, continues to keep its market share over time by being able to expand and hold its own for technology that's 2030, 2035 built, as opposed to the past. To your point, and that's a big part of the change and the need as well. But in any case, what those of you who have been out there know that the facilities that they have are obsolete right now. They will have to rebuild somehow. There's no dock height loading. Everything's loaded on the ground. There is no climate control in any of the facilities. So there's a lot of need for change, and that is able to be done in a significant way on a newer campus, obviously, than trying to redevelop as they're operating in their existing campus. Plus the need for expansion.
So wait, don't go anywhere. I got more stuff. All right. So I think that it needs to be amended to talk more about the CAT history and responding to the criticism by staff. Right. I don't think there's been an analysis in here of what happened, how you just mentioned it on the record, but obviously what's changing. You do talk about the indoor outdoor on page 6 and the footprint. But I think it's important to mention that more. My other question has to do with what happens with the other locations. So one of the things that's mentioned is this will allow a restructuring of all the locations, and the other locations are going to have different uses. I absolutely loved the information about the night trucks. I feel like we could have gone 2 more pages on the night trucks. I wish we had more information on that and the impact that it would have on the region. But just if you can explain the changes to the different locations and the night trucks, because right now you're saying that the night trucks have a small fleet, but that if the Kelly campus were to be redesigned, and I would assume also these different locations would be used differently, then you can expand the night trucks to the entire region. And what impact would that have on reducing congestion of moving all these vehicles during the day?
And so the interesting part about that is, as the report points out, in total, there's about 175 acres that Kelly owns across the entire region, right? We're talking about 150 acres here versus 175 acres if you look at all their facilities, extending to Lee County, Fort Pierce, and the list goes on, West Palm Beach. The issue that they have now is you're always going to have service and smaller equipment sales. You point out that wasn't really until 1999. But you're going to have service and smaller equipment sales spread throughout the region. But the heavy equipment sales, which are now elsewhere, some of the storage, which is occurring in Lee County, or for that matter, in West Palm Beach, can be consolidated. And the reason why the storage is important is because while they're storing equipment, and many of you know from large construction projects with the county, right? Contractors mobilize, demobilize. They need places to store equipment in the meantime. And while that equipment's being stored, it allows Kelly to do restoration work, upgrading of electronics and other material, drivetrains, other things that are more modernized into that equipment. And that is done a lot more efficiently in Miami-Dade County than being spread throughout the entire region. The night truck, the big advantage is that you can now move that, once you have the facility that can actually do that work, you can move it fairly easily from Fort Pierce, or for that matter, Naples, to Miami fairly easily overnight. And so the company has set up this network of night vehicles when there's low traffic time to be able to do that. And it's cheaper, better, and you have more consolidation of investment and repair and very high level of maintenance within Miami than you would spread throughout the entire region. It allows for that. What happens to the other sites? It all depends. I mean, maybe some of them are sold. Maybe some of them are expanded for smaller sales themselves. But it opens up a lot of optionality and also creates a very, very center point within Miami as the headquarters of this company. And last but not least, Commissioner, not to get into too much detail, but we talk about training a bit in the report. It is central to this company's ethos and their DNA to do training for operators. And why? Because it's smart. It keeps the customers very close because they're trained just like Boeing. They're trained on equipment that is unique and systems that are unique to the company. And all of that now, if you have the new facility, will be able to happen on site. You can't do that currently. They don't have the facilities. And so there's a lot of reasons why this will allow the deregionalization back to the headquarters in a different way. So.
And just to add to that, before we move on to the generators, obviously that is also contingent on the highway access, right? Because we can't do this without highway access.
Absolutely. The generators are key. As I said, there's about 100, currently, at any given time, about 110 megawatts, which is a mid-size FPL power plant. Well, maybe for FPL, it's on the smaller side. But for a normal utility, a power plant size generating capacity on the site. So in the case of emergencies otherwise, that can get deployed very easily if you have highway access throughout the region. Kelly Cat has 90% of the healthcare market as one industry by way of example. So Baptist, Jackson, all rely on Kelly generators in times of need when the power system is down, and Kelly deploys their technicians within the region. So it's obviously somewhat selfish for us that live in Miami-Dade County, but it's better to have as much of that capacity in the county as opposed to being spread throughout the entire region. So.
Agree. The other part about the generators, there was no mention. I guess it's kind of like assumed, but there are. It really is about state compliance, right? So it's about disaster recovery, but it's also about state compliance. So what is the alternative? Like as the population, because we talk about the population growth, and there is a correlation between the building and the population growth, but on the generator side, like as Miami-Dade County continues to change and continues to have like a greater need, how is that tied to the footprint? Because the generator's kind of like put in there with like everything else, but it's such a large part of the disaster recovery piece. I mean, and everyone knows what happens in New Orleans, like what happens when the hospitals don't have generators and people have to make very difficult choices. It's one thing for us like to be put in a difficult situation and have to like cook in the barbecue and be hot and figure it out. It's a completely different thing, you know, when hospitals and nursing homes and, you know, ALFs don't have power. And I wish that that would have been kind of like separated out a little bit. I know that you guys kind of threw it all in there with emergency response, but for me, that's a very different conversation. So the question is, as we continue to grow from a population perspective in that direction, what do you need? What does Kelly need on this site to make that happen and available at the rate that we are accustomed to at this moment?
And of course, you don't have to go as far as New Orleans. Look at in Hollywood, right, in Broward County, that horrible tragedy in terms of the ALF or the nursing home several years ago. But the reality is that particularly the generators are built to operate outside, and so Kelly needs more. They'll need more land as the region grows, more land to be able to support more generators. I think an important factor that we haven't talked about, but is kind of briefly mentioned in the report, it's not in detail, is Kelly maintains a fleet also of fuel trucks to service the generators during periods of downtime. And the reason is because, as we've seen, the refueling at Port Everglades, for example, sometimes often is not being done. It goes down, and so Kelly actually has its own pumps and its own trucks to be able to deliver to its customers fuel in times of when there's real need in terms of for the generators, because of course the generators only have capacity for 48 to 72 hours, well even less, 48 to 36 to 48 hours of time before they have to be refueled, and so Kelly does that with their own fuel trucks and their own fuel tanks. Obviously, having an expansive site like this allows that to be able to dramatically be increased at an exponential scale, as opposed to just kind of limited amounts as well. So, if that answers your question.
Yeah. Okay. Another question. In terms of the phasing and the expansion, because I think one of the issues that's left is how large the application is. And I understand that the reason for the size of it is because you want, since you've already gone through this process, right, you want to be able to plan for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, right? And you can't really do that without encompassing the entire land. However, that being said, understand the concern, right, that you're saying, you know, and that's why I wish that there would have been a better explanation of the CAT to kind of dispel this idea of you haven't really grown, right, in 30, 40 years, because I think the industry is changing. And to our conversation about the batteries, I think if you don't have a place to put them, you will be taken out as a competitor. I don't think you can be competitive without the indoor area to facilitate the storing of the batteries that are now becoming the norm. My personal opinion, not an expert, right? But so in terms of the phasing, how can we craft it? I mean, obviously, we don't want to say you have to like come back to the, you know, to the Board of County Commissioners, because this is a grueling process. But at the same time, I wish that there was a way that we could say, if your growth hasn't met this benchmark, then you cannot expand to the next phase. And if you are going to, then you have to come back. So is there, I guess to the attorneys, is there any way to craft this? And the question is going to be, how do you enforce it, right? How do you enforce it? Because I think one of the issues that we have right now is that conundrum, is the amount of expansion in this one point, to the commissioner's point about the text amendment. And I will say this about the text amendment. I have drafted the item. We're just waiting on a few more things, but it will be on the next BCC, the changes to the text amendment. So this idea of like, we're going to have this free for all and we're going to have all these text amendments, you know, we got to drafting, and I think that we close this door soon. And I think that we should actually put a pin in the applications that involve text amendments until we're finalized with that process. But to the attorneys, is there anything that we could do in terms of the phasing so that it's not just kind of, it's not so expansive? I mean, since it is being broken down in phases, could this also, like from a CDMP perspective, like also open in phases? I guess to the two of you, right? Yeah. Who wants to take it first? Abby?
Through the chair. Commissioner, and the applicant's attorney may have other ideas, but I think if this board has concerns related to the phasing, that's something that could be part of a proffered covenant.
And Commissioner, we have to go through the zoning process, and in conversations with zoning staff, it is contemplated that we could do this through a development agreement where we have set phases of the site plan, that could also be another mechanism that we can go through.
I know, but that's in the zoning process. That's not now. I mean, my question is like, what can be done now?
Commissioner, we do have a covenant from the applicant. I don't recall if there are, I think, certain restrictions related to phasing in that covenant, but depending on what the board may wish to see, I think those are certain things that could potentially be added into the CDMP covenant.
Thoughts?
We would have to revisit the way that it's drafted in the covenant now. It's tied to a conceptual site plan, so we'll have to regroup to see what the appropriate timing could be for phases and include that in the covenant.
But the conceptual site plan has currently, right, about 1.1 million of indoor space, and then another 200,000 of covered areas, so that are doesn't have 4 walls, but is in there. So, and the application is for 2.7 million. Given the fact that, right, over time, there's going to be, and batteries are a good example, not really in there. So there is clearly going to be some phasing going on with this over time. But clearly there's at least 1.1 million plus the covered areas that need to be part of that first phase. I believe.
I need the phasing to be in the covenant. I mean, I understand that we're going to do it in zoning later, but my issue now is with the size of the application. I feel like we've answered, again, I wish that the business plan covered a lot of what we've covered here verbally. I think you buried the lead with the batteries, but I get it. It was a super fast job, and I appreciate that. We really haven't had a lot of time to discuss it, and I think if we would have had more time, we could have flushed it out more. But I think that there needs to be a better understanding of the generators and the batteries and all these different things, because these are public policy priorities. So I think, we kind of threw everything in the bucket, right? And we're talking about, FDOT and, mining and this and that, and that's all important, and it all helps the economy. But there are components of this that are directly tied to emergency management, and natural disaster recovery that are a very, very different conversation from the rest of it. So I think as policymakers, I think we have to kind of separate that bucket and have that conversation and prioritize that. And the same thing with the night trucks and the congestion. I mean, I think that we could really, have a positive impact on traffic congestion. And I think that that's a commitment that, we would also like to see. When is that gonna be a reality, right? When are we gonna be able to move all these things at night? Because for us, as we sit up here, being able to alleviate traffic congestion, in this manner is beneficial. So I think that that's also something that I would like some more information on, or some sort of covenant on. And then also have you submit more information on Caterpillar and their history, just as an addendum. So if we could kind of capture all of this, so that it could all be part of the application and it isn't just dicta. And then returning to the wetland covenant. The only change that I would make to that wetland covenant, I think it was very well done. I think, what we presented down to the wildlife corridor was very, very good. But I do want EEL to manage it, if possible, and for Kelly to pay EEL for that management. We don't want it to be an unfunded mandate to EEL. So is that something the developer would agree to?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Through the chair, if I could ask a question. If you're getting what you need to support the item, and all of these things have to go in the covenant, I'm just doing the rough math in my head from the last meeting. And so assuming that you get what you need to support the item, we would still need to come back the next meeting because the vice chairman had to step away. So there still wouldn't be. So let me just suggest that once we get through and agree to everything that's going to be in the covenant, get the stuff in the covenant, and then defer the item.
I'm happy to do that.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to say my piece, if I may. Okay, thank you. Today, sitting here today, I'm reminded why Reagan was so right when he said the scariest words are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help you." Unbelievable. I'm fine. Commissioner Gilbert was so correct when he said we're going to be back at the same place. And I hope another deferral, another artificial intelligence evaluation. James and Charles Deering, Vizcaya and Deering Estate, wouldn't be here, by the way, had we been around at that time. And the staff had been around here at that time. And the people that I see lobbying constantly had been around that time. I support Commissioner Regalado on the text amendment issue moving forward. But, we voted on another text amendment, 12-0. I remind Senator Garcia that we voted on that on a property very close to this. But anyways, I'm willing, if it's the will of this body, and I do agree with Commissioner Gilbert, but that, if you want to make sure you put everything in the covenant, it's fine. But I don't think we should be playing business people with business people that have been around 92 years, number one. And number two, the mayor is not going to change her position. She is just going to move it again. The staff, I see Lourdes back there, looking up. They're not changing their position. They're just not going to do it. There's going to be lobbied by a bunch of people that they believe, or they want to make them happy, or they just believe, or they agree with them, whatever. They're not going to change their position. So the only thing I remind everybody, Mr. Chairman, and I think you're on point, let's stop telling businesses moving forward to come to our county. If every time we're going to tell them how to run their business, and this is the same county, grease traps. We're telling people that don't even have restaurants, they're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's ridiculous. And then, it's always pass the buck, make the excuse. People who are getting permitting through private providers that, by the way, have to meet the same standard that this glorious staff we have. We're telling them, no, that's not good enough. We got to come back and double check the work that if we are going to argue, and I know Commissioner Gilbert and I share this, and many of you do, that government should try to be, can't be all the time, but should try to be efficient, as proficient, because time is money for businesses, small and large and intermediate. Then impediment number one, impediment number two. I'm telling you, Charles Deering, James Deering, Ronald Reagan, they're all rolling in their graves today if they were watching this meeting. Because, I'll do whatever the will of this body is if in fact, because she's just going to, the mayor is going to veto it anyways. I hate to tell you that. It's today, it's May 19th, it's June 2nd. I don't care, do it on July 4th so we can try to get some inspirational feeling for America. It's still going to be the same thing. So I appreciate that you're doing the counting, and if we need to do that, that'll be fine too. And if the applicant feels that another bite at the apple, by the time we're going to finish, there's no apple. But, you know, I just think we're beating a dead horse. And every time we come here, something else is asked, something else is asked, something else is asked. And I will say this. We are not here to tell people how to run their business. We are here, I believe, to help the businesses be efficient and effective, and the health, safety, and welfare of our community. Somehow, in this whole discussion, in this county, it's been, I don't know, it's been lost. So I agree with you, Mr. Chairman, that if we continue to have, and maybe at the beginning, they should have been told, no, don't do it through a text amendment, but they weren't. So now we're here. Maybe in the future, other entities, and maybe this one, you know, but we approved one just to the south, okay? Well, unanimously. I want to remind everybody, you know. So unless, because I love Commissioner Regalado. She's asked some great questions, even though Charles and James are rolling in their grave. The question is, will that be enough? Will that be in the supposed documents that, you know, our lawyers, who, by the way, also don't run a business, or, you know, the administration that also doesn't run a business, will that be enough to satisfy the queries of everybody up here, or will we have another moving at that point? And it doesn't have to be Commissioner Regalado. It could be the mayor's going to say, well, you know, I don't like that, because I know there'll be other people that'll come and say, you know, well, no, that's not enough for me, because they're just not going to change their point of view. So at some point, we got to make a decision, okay? I'm ready to make a decision today, but I respect my colleague. And if, in fact, there's a feeling that she and the applicant can satisfy her concerns, but I ask you not to do it on the 19th, because you have to catch a flight, and so does, not me, but most of this body, and we're never going to get through it then either, because we're going to hear it again.
June 2nd.
You know, so that's what I think. But I want to be clear, you know, we have to stop. Our role is to create the conditions. It's amazing to me that a county that takes a year to sign contracts that have been approved, our procurement department. But, you know, it's like, this is crazy. We sit here and then we say, okay, but, you know, we're not doing much to help businesses. Let's be honest. Let's just call it a day.
But we're fast to tour their facilities and post photos, and I'm sure that we're all going to be at the ribbon cutting if this gets done.
It'll be beautiful. But anyways, that's my say, and whatever, I don't know if the applicant feels, and it's up to you to decide, but the applicant feels that they can take care of Commissioner Regalado's concerns and Senator Garcia's concerns. But I will tell you, you know, at some point we got to make a decision on this thing, one way or the other, because if not, it doesn't matter what they do. We've been here 4 or 5 times, and 4 or 5 times it's a new thing. It's a new thing. It's a new thing. Tomorrow will be the yellow-bellied sapsuckers. Yes, Lourdes, I said it. Yellow-bellied sapsuckers. That'll be the next thing, or some bat. And they'll say, well, you know, now we got the problem. You know, so that's what it's going to be, okay? And there's people that are going straight. There's people on bikes, on 3-wheelers in that area, and none of the residents, by the way, in the area have complained. But, you know, it is what it is. So that's you know, Ronald Reagan, wherever you're at, please bring a beam of light down to us.
All right, I'm going to recognize for one question Cohen-Higgins, but then I'd like to, are you willing to do the motion already?
Yes.
Okay, so Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, you're recognized for a question, and then, yeah, I think that's where we're at.
So my question is
Right.
based on what I'm reading, which seems like it's another deferral. So my question is a procedural one to our attorneys. This being a CDMP application, does that rule get triggered that speaks to the number of deferrals of CDMP applications and what happens if that number hits? Because I believe we are in that realm at this juncture. I don't know the number of times this has been deferred, but I believe it's enough to trigger that rule. So can you please educate and inform me on whether or not a deferral today triggers the rule that I can't remember specifically, but I believe that you all know what it is that I'm referencing.
You're recognized.
Yes, through the chair. Commissioner, the UDB-related amendments as defined per the ordinance that you're referencing does not include this item because this is a text amendment as has been discussed.
Yeah, this could be
All right,
deferred for.
awesome. Commissioner Regalado, you're recognized for.
So I appreciate, Commissioner Bermudez, you're hard to love. That's all I'm going to say.
Should I say ditto?
Yeah, it's very hard to love.
And that was better than what I was thinking.
Yeah. It's tough. It's tough. Look, I think we're like 90% there. I think we're 90% there. And again, the fact that this has taken years, I'm not the mayor and I'm not the administration. When this was presented to us, I have tried expeditiously to resolve my concerns, and they have responded as quickly as humanly possible also. So in a very short period of time, we have done a lot, which isn't required by the text amendment, but we're trying to get comfortable with the text amendment. So I don't think you paint it, so broadly, because I've put in a lot of time and trying to get to a place where this doesn't set a bad precedent. And I think they've been put in a difficult situation because there has been a shifting of conversations, but I've never moved the goalposts. I've always said, we need to meet these things, and I've done everything that I can to try to get us there. I think this is a unique application, and I think it's a unique company that provides a unique service. So I feel comfortable in finding a solution that not only provides them with what they need to continue to be successful, but they are also our partner. It's not a black and white business transaction. They are not just a developer that's building a thing that has nothing to do with us. They are the people that we rely on in order to do the work that we do. So it's a unique situation in that sense. I can't speak for the mayor or for staff, but I think that we can close the gap. And you could probably close the gap with Rene Garcia too, with Senator Garcia. I mean, I think we can close the gap. And I think the fact that we're going to bring the item to deal with the text amendment at our next BCC also eliminates another issue as to the precedent that this will be bringing. So I request a deferral because I think we can solve the problem. Not because I'm kicking the can, because I'm not a kick the can kind of person.
All right, so let's entertain a deferral to June 2nd. Not the next, to June 2nd. We have a deferral by Commissioner Regalado, a second by Commissioner Bermudez.
I'll second it, but I want to put the hold on the use of the word "I" as we move forward on this board. Okay, just to be clear.
All right, show the record reflecting that Commissioner Bermudez has a hold on the word "I." All right, I will not use "I" any longer after this meeting. I will use "we," or they, or her, or he, or she, them, whatever it is that we're going to. All in favor of the deferral signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Show the item deferred. All right.
Thank you.
All righty. Please exit quietly to all of the fraction of the 1,300 employees that they will be employing at this new facility. Yep, that's not happening. All right, Sergeant, can you help me out? Sergeants? All right, Madam Attorney, can we move into the pool list at this time?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
All right.
Point of inquiry to the chair.
Sure.
Are there people who want to release pools?
That's a good question. I'll take that. If there's anyone that would like to release their pools.
Just release them.
I only have a comment on the one that I.
Okay, well then, we're gonna go through the, like everybody has a, are you just gonna release or you have a little?
I'm releasing 8P7.
8P7 is released. 8P7. Okay. All right, everybody follow along. We're going to try to do quickly here, as quick as we can, and as quick as you all don't speak much. That is not to be confused by the fact that I do want you to speak, but just limited and concise. 2B3, Commissioner from District 13, you're recognized.
Mr. Chairman, yes, this is, has to do with the electronic submission of registering our pets, and this is part of the report. Madam Mayor, quick question, when do we think that this will be actually implemented to ensure that our residents who have, our pet owners, will be able to access these services online?
Thank you through the chair. Thank you, Senator, and I'm asking Annette Jose, our director, to address the issue.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners, Senator Garcia. Thank you for supporting this. This will be in the testing phase during May and June, and we, bar any issues, we hope to implement mid-July to August latest.
This is where we can register our pets online and so forth and pay for certain services?
That's right. So you no longer have to go in person to Animal Services or mail a check.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the item.
All right, would you move also 8P7, because it was released, but we need to approve it? Senator Garcia?
Yes, sir, I move it.
Okay, so you move 2B3 and 8P7, seconded by Commissioner Lopez. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. On 2B4, Commissioner from District 6, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to thank our aviation department for, I've been working with them over the last couple months to implement the Families on the Fly, which was a program that we try to bring to MIA so that families traveling with minors under 12 could use a dedicated line. As we know, traveling with minors and children is complicated when you have strollers and lots of items to get through. So I think so far it has been a successful pilot program. And I know that the airport is also working on getting a discount on further pre-check fees for those families. So I appreciate the airport working for that initiative, and I look forward to receiving another update soon because we are trying to implement it in more lanes throughout the airport.
I like that. All right, I'll entertain a motion. You move it?
Yes, I'll move it.
It's been moved by Commissioner Orbis, seconded by Commissioner Lopez. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. All right, let's go to 8 and 5. Commissioner from District 6, you're recognized yet again.
Thank you. I had some questions on this because there are eliminations of bus routes, and specifically District 6 is being impacted. So to the director. Mr. Chair, may I ask a question? Okay, thank you. Hi, Director Miller. How are you? So I see that there's 2 routes being removed in District 6, that it's 37 and 132. These were recommendations from the Better Bus Network from 2023?
So the part of this was modifications from the Better Bus Network, yes.
Okay, because I wasn't briefed on these reductions in the district, and specifically the one in Hialeah. We've had a lot of cuts to bus routes in Hialeah, and I hear about this all the time when I visit the elderly residents that don't have cars. And so I know that there's not a lot of passengers on Route 132, but is there another route that they can take nearby? Because I get specific questions about these routes because these people don't have another way to get around.
Yes, ma'am, and I apologize if we didn't directly come in and discuss this with you. I was under the impression that we discussed it with your team, but I apologize if that was not the case. Yes, with the elimination of 132, which has very low volumes, we actually have Route 36, which is the majority of the same route. The only thing that is eliminated is Hialeah Market Station for Tri-Rail, and we have under 5 passengers a day that actually use that particular stop.
Okay, so I know that over the last couple of years, various routes from Hialeah have been eliminated, so I'd like to just go over that with your department if possible.
Happy to do so.
And then the other one affects the airport area, which is 137. How many passengers ride that one right now?
I don't have that.
I'm sorry, 37.
Okay, the 37. So that we're actually changing the headways. That had been a 30-minute headway. We had moved it to a 15-minute headway. We realized that we wanted to move it back to a 30-minute headway as we are averaging fewer than 10 passengers a trip, which means the 15-minute headway is too much.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. No further questions. Thank you. Chairman?
Commissioner Steinberg and then Gilbert.
Thank you. If I may, I just wanted to say, I would like the Transportation Director, if that's possible, to just stay. I noticed in this item, yes, it doesn't touch my district this time, but I do want to give some feedback really quickly because we are still getting some calls about the Better Bus Network changes. And one of the feedback that we have received is the 100 line is always, they consolidated so many lines into that route that we're having issues because the buses are either over full, the timing of it is not working, and we need to do better as it relates to that. It's a very big route, and it covers a few of our districts, and it's the lifeline for many people, and we really need to look at that, I think, and come up with some measures to make it a little bit more user-friendly. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you.
Commissioner Gilbert, you're recognized.
Director, do you have the number offhand? What percentage of each bus trip do we subsidize out of the general fund?
The percent, I do know our fare box collection,
Yeah, give me that.
it's around 10 to 11%.
So that means the general fund's approximately 89 to 90% is paid by the general fund. And I only make this observation because I do also get the remarks in my district about bus routes. And this doesn't affect me, but apparently I'm the head of the Transportation Committee now, and so we get these comments, and I just want us to be cognizant of the fact that we have to start to look at transportation as a service and not something that we sell. And so, or something that we sell and not a service. Now, one way allows us to, in good conscience, continue to subsidize and keep service the way it is, or even expand it. The other way requires us to actually raise transit fees, because they're two basic ways that we're going to pay for transportation. It's going to be out of the general fund, or it's going to be a user fee. One helps us absorb the cost as a community of something we know we need. We need people to be able to go to school and bus, and seniors to get around, and they can't pay the actual cost to that service. So I understand that has to happen. But we can't have like this floating cognitive dissonance over what we're doing here, because when the budget time comes back around, we're going to complain about the ad valorem rate, and we're going to complain about what probably needs to be a rate increase recommendation. We're going to complain about both of those things. And then we're also going to ask for more service. And that inconsistency is not an inconsistency that exists in the public. It's not even an inconsistency that exists in the administration. It is an inconsistency that exists on this board. We have to be consistent. If we want it to be, want to expand stuff, we got to be willing to pay for it. And we have to do that. Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves in these situations over and over again, and having these conversations over and over again. I'll move this item.
All right, Commissioner Gilbert moves the item, seconded by Commissioner Regalado. All right. Yes. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. 8P3, Commissioner from District 4, you're recognized.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, this was more of a comment regarding, I'm seeing more and more, and I spoke to staff about this briefly, where a lot of the procurement items as it relates to IT and technology, we keep having issues with. And so I don't know what the answer is, right? And I think we need to start thinking prospectively as technologies change and different uses of technology are entered into the fabric of what we do, how we look to procure that and what makes the most sense. Because right now, we're going to be ratifying an emergency contract, not because we weren't proactive in being out there and trying to procure. That's not the reason. The reason is, and I would like to please for a moment have Namita come up so she can explain the reason why we have to approve this. But I think it begs the bigger question. We even had another one that we had to reject all bids because we had an issue, and it's really always falls in this technological lane. And so I think we need to maybe fine tune what we're doing and how we're doing it so that we're speaking the same language as the technology world when we're doing these procurements.
Yeah, you're right. All right, Namita, you got the floor. Give it to us. See if we can fix this now in the strip committee. So we'll come back with these several items we got to do now.
Thank you, Chair Namita Upal. Commissioner, great question. You're absolutely right. This is not a result of staff not being proactive, but that's the nature of the whole technology. Once you get invested in any system or a legacy, once it becomes a legacy, you are at the mercy of these companies. And whether it's CAIDMS this time or Microsoft, I'll be bringing an item from Microsoft where we try to do everything possible in our control to make sure we have a timely contract. But I know Director Olazabal is working very hard with his team to come up with a plan and also getting us out of the legacy systems as we have more budgetary freedom. So I'll turn it over to the director.
Director.
So as Namita mentioned, this is a legacy product that probably goes back almost 30 years.
Director, do you want to start by saying your name and stuff? I don't know.
Apologize. Director George Olazabal, CITD. Through the chair, as Namita mentioned, this is a product that has been part of our technology backbone for many years, and we are in the process of analyzing a multitude of products that constitute part of our technical debt and modernization, and this is one of the products that we are going to be looking at. It's very much engraved into the ecosystem that we have. An ecosystem that's built over 30 plus years in technology. So it's not something that we can just do a lift and shift on.
Okay. Steinberg, you're done. Who had the floor? You done?
Yeah.
All right.
I was just bringing it to the attention so that we can think about it, be mindful as we move forward.
Were you on cue or you just raised your hand? You were on cue, right? Okay, so it's you and then Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree, Commissioner Steinberg. It's something we ought to be looking at. I think I was on a panel last week with the mayor. I think we talked about procurement, and I really think that we ought to be, as we procure IT, exclusively doing agnostic technology. And I say that because, and this is I have no ill intent towards Microsoft or any of the legacy systems. I'm sure that their business model works for them, but their business model is clearly to lock us in and to make it so expensive for us to change that we've essentially lost all our deliberative authority. Because they know that if they can charge us, if it's going to cost $20 million, they just got to do 15, even though there might be something better. And the way that technology is changing now, how fast it's changing, with the advent of AI and all these things, that we need to be in short-term deals with agnostic technologies, things that can come in and out. And the challenge is that that's going to be more on the front end in some ways, but it's really being penny wise and pound foolish. And I don't blame the administration or procurement about this, because they hear, they can read the tea leaves. They understand we don't have a lot of money and we're trying to spend as little as possible. But at some point, we're going to have to actually spend the money to get out of the system. Getting out of the system will save the county money long term. It just costs more initially. And so if we never bite that bullet, we trap us in this cycle of continuing to pay more and continuing to be trapped in legacy systems that might not be, in our best interest. And if they are, then let's let the competition figure that out. But the competition shouldn't be weighed on you're here, and so because you're the person who's here and you have it now, we're predisposed to giving it to you again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, just 2 seconds, Commissioner Lopez. Let me ask a question as well. I have a question, just because and I could ask this offline, but I'm committed to being here. I got nothing else for the day. We're ratifying this contract, right? So it's been executed. Let me ask a question. What happens if this body does not approve a ratification? And I'm asking for another item that it was mentioned to me in procurement that, whatever, I won't get into detail and bore everybody, but on this item, what happens if we don't, and I don't know that that's going to happen. I think this is it's a 2-year term. I think we needed it. I think you guys did the right decision. I want to know what happens when this body grants that authority to the administration to execute, which I think we should have, right? Because you need some sort of authority. I don't know if you need a $3 million or what it is, but what happens if we don't approve it? Is that to the attorneys? Maybe you want to answer? Like, what happens if this has been signed, it's been executed, and we're just ratifying it? What happens if this body decides not to approve the ratification of this contract? Take a stab, Eddie.
The administration cannot go forward with the contract. All contracts for goods and services have termination for convenience provisions. So essentially it'd be a directive to the administration to exercise termination for convenience provision.
All right, fair enough. Commissioner Lopez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in keeping with Commissioner Steinberg's comments, the legislature actually had the same issues 2 years ago, and the Speaker created an IT committee simply because we were spending so much money. In many cases, we were purchasing software, and we'd find it didn't work, and it changed so rapidly, that tech was changing so rapidly, they would continue to purchase. So, for instance, just managing the fleet at the state, they had at least 4 softwares within 10 years. So we were like starting all over again, one by one. And I think the IT committee actually was very fruitful, because what it found was that no one had ever really looked at it completely across the board, every single agency, every piece of software and hardware being purchased. So I agree with you, because as I see these things, I'm always taken back, because I served on that committee for 2 years. It was so beneficial because we made different decisions that saved a great deal of money in the long term, oftentimes, because there was no more patchwork. Like, no agency was coming to us saying, I want this, and then the other one saying, but I want that. And then looking at the history of these legacy software programs or hardware. And then we found in other cases that they would buy hardware and not buy the software, the most updated software. So it didn't make any sense. So I think, I just mentioned this to the chair because there may be a need to finally sit down and actually analyze all of this as a board. So those are just my comments. It really worked at the state, and I don't see why it wouldn't work here at the county.
I agree. All right, Commissioner Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to my colleagues for this conversation. The conversation is extremely timely, and Commissioner Steinberg, thank you for pulling the item, and Commissioner Gilbert, thank you for your comments. I'm wondering, though, Commissioner Gilbert, from your extensive experience in government, have you ever tackled an issue addressing the concern that you raised? And I don't pose it as a question to place you on the spot. I ask with authenticity because we are going to see an item that is coming to the airport committee that doubles down on exactly the opposite, which is give us greater authority, us meaning the administration, give us greater authority to continue with more legacy contracts at the airport, because there's a greater level of convenience and a greater level of financial savings that would be yielded from, for example, when we build out Terminal K and or D60. the airport wants to utilize the same systems, the same software, the same services, as opposed to procuring it out to new professionals for continuity and for savings. So I bring that up because the item will be on the airport committee agenda in our next cycle. But if you're genuine and authentic in your interest in addressing this, I am as well. I think that what Commissioner Lopez has raised regarding addressing it via some sort of structure or body is not the worst idea, because we continue to lock ourselves in to contracts with vendors who, frankly, they don't need us as a board because everything gets done administratively. We get asked to sign retroactively, and massive, massive, massive dollars are being moved through our county, right, on a retroactive basis and with legacy contracts that are locked in. And so it's something that I'd be interested in working on. And if you want to have a discussion at Airport Committee, I invite you please to get into it. And I look forward to working with my colleagues on this issue. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right,
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner, I think all great points. Commissioner Gilbert, 95% of our dollar spend is on competitive contracts. 5% is still on legacy, non-competitive, overall, all of them. So I'm very proud of that accomplishment. And I know the mayor is continuously asking us, how can we further make it better? How can we but 95% of our contract dollars are on competitive contracts and 5% is on non-competitive. And I don't think we can ever, maybe a few years down the road, we can continue to work towards getting out of those 5% too.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to dig down on that for a second.
The 5%, what's that number?
I believe it's total spend that we, the last I checked was three point something billion a year, but it's not the awards, so you could say 5% of that.
Mr. Chairman,
You were mentioned. You can respond.
yeah, thank you so much, because I think that's one of those comments that I've heard before in statistics. I love when people give percentages. I think it probably ignores the times when you actually do a competitive process and you end up picking the incumbent, because the relationships that you have allow you to see what they do, and you write the procurement that's unique specifically to what they do. And so I appreciate when you all do that, but I want you to know it's not like we don't know you do it. We do know you do it. So we can see solicitations that are clearly written to favor the people we do business with. And so when you say that, they're competitive, in theory they are competitive. That doesn't mean everybody can actually win them.
Commissioner Bermudez and then Regalado.
Yeah, I just have a question, and I agree with all of your concerns. But I have a question of the largest law firm in Dade County. Termination language on these contracts, because it was just mentioned. It's kind of important when we sign these contracts, if in fact we want a viable out, to make sure the termination clause is written in a form that gives us the benefit and the advantage. And that would be one of the things that I think then Mayor Gilbert, then Mayor Bermudez, then Commissioner Hardiman would have said, oh yes, and maybe not on the beach, Commissioner Steinberg, but I think that one of the, the termination clauses have to be looked at also, because in the end, that's always the response. Well, we got to look at the termination. Well, if we're going to go from A to Z, then let's make sure that we look at the make sure that we do the right thing from the perspective of our attorney's office, putting the language in there that protects us from A to Z when we do these procurements. Because other than that, I think we're going to be back in the same place. And Namada, I love your use of stats. You're very good. But statistics, many times, a 300 hitter in baseball doesn't necessarily, it sounds real good, but sometimes is not as effective as you think it is. So I just hope, I agree with all of you, including Commissioner Cohen-Higgins correctly points out that if we're going to be seeing that in other things, let's make sure we also look at, what the language of those contracts are going to be. because that's important. And I don't listen. I don't work for this law firm, but they supposedly work for us, right? So, or the administration and us. Let's at least make sure that language is included there when we look at these things.
Thank you. I would just like to add that, Commissioner Gilbert, when you look at it, you also need to consider the underlying bias. The underlying bias is that there is a fiscal benefit to the consolidation of all services. And that was started prior to this administration and it has been continued. And I don't think that that's the best thing for us because it doesn't allow us to have comparison. Now, if you need a system to communicate across the entire county, like Informs or something, yes, that makes sense because you're doing everything on that one platform. But something as the general software, you could see a world where enterprise systems could have one type and non-enterprise could have another, and that way we can compare the uses and the price. Right now, we can't compare the uses and the price. We're just at the mercy of enormous contracts, and we can't say this methodology produced a savings and this did not, because we continue to move from this bias that there should be this centralization of everything. And I think that bias is what costs us money. Because time and time again, when you drill down to that bias, you find that if we decentralize these things so that they could have different systems, we could save a lot of money. And then we could also compare to see what products are better. But I think the fact that we assume that everything has to be the same for every single department, irrespective of their use of that technology, is where we get into trouble financially.
So we have a motion by, who moved the item? Commissioner Gilbert moves the item. Commissioner Lopez second the item. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. All right, 9A1, Commissioner from District 7, you're recognized.
I just pulled this item because historically, veterinary services have been really expensive. And I know I've spoken to Namita about this in the past. I'm not necessarily against the item. I would just make a friendly amendment. Part of our problem is the lack of veterinarians. And I know in the past, we talked about reaching out to UF and seeing if we could have some sort of pilot where we can use students, right? So just a little out of the box, because now that insurance has entered the conversation for pets, veterinary services have skyrocketed, and a lot of vets that used to take the county contract for spay and neuter, it's no longer fiscally important to them because they could do better things with their time, which is why we're seeing this dramatic shift in the cost of these services. So I think the market is changing, and we might want to get a little creative, even if that requires some state help in terms of doing a pilot so that we can have veterinary students, or other, or someone that's moving in that direction provide some of these services. Because if not, the cost is going to keep going up and up and up and up because the demand keeps going up. And there seems to be no check on the pricing of that. So just friendly amendment, Commissioner.
What's the amendment?
To look at a pilot using students to do some of this work. I think we should try that.
It's perfectly fine.
Thank you.
I'll move it as amended.
It's been moved, it's as amended, seconded by the commissioners that just moved it and seconded. Clerk's got that? All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Show 9A1 moved as amended. All right, 11A4, Commissioner from District 13, you're recognized.
Oh.
Yep, spicy reggaeton.
Oliver Gilbert's rubbing off on me. They're not knowing where I am. It's the other way around. It's the other way around. It's the other way around. I get it, Commissioner Gilbert. Anyway, actually, I'm joking around, but this is a very serious issue, members. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and the Behavioral Health Board has approved a mental health campaign or two campaigns. I provided the two different campaigns for you, and also with an expenditure of $70,000 for the public awareness campaign that we're working on with the mayor as well. We know that stigma still seems to be a big issue in when we deal with behavioral health and mental health issues. And every community is affected, no matter what zip code or area code you live in. Mental health is also an issue. So through the Behavioral Health Board, and we authorized $70,000, but that $70,000 has to be approved by us as well in the County Commission, and also approve the mental health awareness campaign that we have. And I think we have two different campaigns, and I'm going with the first campaign. I think that looks good. That's what that is.
Commissioner Lopez, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator Garcia, for spearheading this very important topic. I love concept number one. I think it's professionally done, but I love the way you see more of the different types of people that are impacted by that. I don't think there's been a family that hasn't impacted by some sort of mental health issue, mine included. And so I am grateful to your leadership in mental health and look forward to supporting the campaign.
Commissioner Bermudez, you're recognized.
I got a question, and certainly applaud the senator for the effort. But when you get to visit Miami-Dade.gov, Let's Talk, what happens then? What does the person that is having these issues? Is there somebody there that we pay or is there? What happens? What help do they get? Because it's great to have a campaign, but if the end result's not some help, then kind of beats the purpose.
Yeah, actually, there is, when you do hit the Let's Talk, there is a hotline that when someone is facing a crisis, they can go, they call that number, and through that crisis hotline, they get referred to different providers in our communities. One and two, they're talked through to make sure that if they're having a real serious crisis, that they don't do something to commit harm to themselves. So that hotline has been active for quite some time here in Miami-Dade County, and what we're trying to do is make sure that we bring awareness to those numbers and make sure that people in this community know that there are services available to them.
Okay, I think it's fine. It's a great. I applaud you. I just like eventually to know. I see your staff member obviously knows the entities that we use as a county, and maybe she can give us a list of what they are, because I know there's a number of different nonprofits and for-profits that also help. But it's obviously it's a positive thing. I just want to make sure that people get the help.
No, and it's not only it's not only her that knows the list. She was just giving me the campaign, the slogan, the Let's Talk, and the 988 number. That's all she was giving. But there's a boatload of different organizations in this community. I will make sure I get that to you. JCS, I think Jewish Community Centers, is the one that runs the hotline itself, the 988 number, and they're the ones that are just taking the lead in ensuring that we try to provide the services to our community. So I will make sure that I'll get that out to everyone on the county commission. And when I do ask members, when we get this campaign out, if you can help us getting the word out through your social media accounts and in your district, it's extremely important that all of us get involved and make sure that people understand that if we're doing this, there shouldn't be a stigma associated with this. So I don't know if anyone else from the county wants to speak to this. Mr. Chairman?
Through the chair, Kathy Burgos.
Yep, you got it, Kathy.
Community Services Department. Senator Garcia stated perfectly. We are working closely with 211, with Jewish Family Services, and to his point, someone who is struggling will have all the information necessary according to their mental health needs. So it's an extremely important campaign. Thank you.
All right, so we're good. We got a motion. We have a second by, right? Or is that where we're at? We have a motion by Senator Garcia, second by Commissioner Lopez. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Show the item passed. All right, we are now on 11A8. Commissioner from District 8, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I pulled the item. It's my item. For an amendment, the administration needed additional time. Instead of 30 days, they requested 60 days. And I had a clarifying amendment on section 1. So if the attorneys can read those amendments on section 1 and section 2 of 11A8, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Please read the amendment.
Commissioner Cohen Higgins moves to amend sections 1 and 2 of item 11A8 to change the time frame within which the county mayor or county mayor's designee must provide the reference report from 30 days to 60 days, and to limit the fiscal intermediaries and agents listed in the report to those who charge a fee for services rendered. Therefore, on page 4, sections 1, there will be a change to the first sentence that adds who charge a fee for services rendered. And in section 2, the reference to 30 days will be to 60 days. Thank you.
Thank you. I move 11A8.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Cohen Higgins, seconded by Commissioner Orbis. Commissioner Regalado, you're pulling commissioner as well. Oh, okay. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Show 11A8 pass. 11A9, Commissioner from District 12, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to suggest a friendly amendment that we expand the scope to request that this report be countywide, not just District 4, even though I'm glad you took this initiative. I think we all have, and by the way, I'm not blaming the company. This is the exactly why when we award a contract to get these things going, we and our staff has to be cooperative with whoever wins it. But my friendly amendment, Commissioner Steinberg, would be that the report include all the districts, not just District 4, because I think if there's a problem in your district, there's probably a problem everywhere else. And if that's the case, we got to get to the bottom of, because this came from a very controversial contract that we took back and voted unanimously to approve a new company to do it. And if they're having trouble getting information from our staff, I think we need to know it too. But that would be countywide. So that would be my friendly amendment, and I'd second if you accept it, then I'd second it.
Yeah, if I may?
Yeah, you may, Commissioner Steinberg.
I have no problem with that. Just to give you some background, this item was put on probably my first meeting as a county commissioner. So this is not to do with any one specific company or anything of that nature. This was really trying to make sure that we're on top of it. Now, we understand the signalization is just a piece of the puzzle. It's not a panacea. We understand that. But we also need to make sure that it's another tool in the toolbox, as we say, and so we want to make sure that everything's functioning optimally. And so we've noticed in my district there have been some issues in terms of the delays in getting some of the signalization done. So I just wanted a standing report every couple of years to make sure we are truly not, letting go of the initiatives that we had set forth originally. And I'm happy to include it for everybody, but that was the intent of the item originally. So yeah, I move it as amended.
All right, it's been moved as amended. It's seconded by Commissioner Regalado, though, and then you state, and then you have the floor.
Thank you. I just think, and I think it's a good idea. I know that in some of our districts, there's issue with the existing infrastructure. So there's the signalization and the software, but then there's the existing infrastructure. And if the light is grounded or not grounded, and there was like a lot of time spent on that. And then there's a third issue in the South where they keep stealing the wires. There's like a whole thing about like stealing the infrastructure. Yeah. So it's, yeah. And by the way, every time it comes up, I wish we would just, for once and for all, like decide, like, do we need cameras? Like, what's the plan other than telling us that it's been stolen once, twice, 3 times? I think it's a little frustrating for us. So the only thing that I would add is to give them flexibility to be able to come back with some of those issues, if those are the issues, right? So just explain to us what the issues are.
Commissioner Steinberg.
Yeah, and I will say to that, some of the issues for our broken loops, which is, for those who don't understand, it's that plate that's underneath and the car pulls up and it triggers when the light should change if it's on a sensor. And some of our systems are actually being moved to the smart system, which is a whole other conversation. But for today's purposes, some of the faulty signalization is also done to construction projects and other things, whether it's utility companies or private developers or what have you, that damage the loops. And so it's a matter of us also trying to investigate, how did this get broken? What is the issue? How do we get... So I just want us to have a more streamlined approach and a faster way to just get the results, because people don't care whose responsibility it is. They just want to know that it gets done and gets fixed.
All right, so it's been moved, it's been seconded by Commissioner Regalado. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Show the item pass. I have a motion. Can the attorney read my motion, please? Or I can read it if you don't have it in front of you. All right.
And 1189 was as amended.
Yes, as amended.
Mr. Chair, we're talking about the CARE MIA Board?
Yes, sir.
Certainly. Pursuant to Section 2-11.38E4 of the Code of Miami-Dade County, which limits a person's ability to serve on more than 2 county boards simultaneously, unless the Board of County Commissioners has approved the appointment by unanimous vote after being advised of all other county boards upon which the person sits. Chairman Rodriguez moves to appoint to the CARE MIA Advisory Board Ms. Zaba St. George Castro, who currently sits on the Adrian R. Center Trust and the Miami-Dade County Cultural Affairs Council. And Mr. Chair, as a reminder, the motion requires unanimous vote.
All right, I ask Orbis to move it for me since I'm chairing.
I'll move it.
Seconded by Commissioner Cohen-Higgins. Commissioner Hardiman, you're recognized.
Is this from the vote that we just took?
I'm sorry?
Is this from the vote that we just took?
No, this is to appoint to the CARES MIA Advisory Board, but this person serves on 2 other county boards, and you're only allowed to serve on 2, otherwise you need to have a unanimous vote from the board.
A unanimous vote?
You could only serve on 2. Anything more than 2 needs a unanimous vote from the board.
Unanimous?
Unanimous.
I don't think you should take this vote right now.
I'm good with it. I mean, I'm okay with it.
Just don't take it now.
When do you want to take it? Because we have to.
It has to happen today?
Yeah.
No, I know our meeting is over, but does this have to happen today?
If it doesn't happen today, I just need to appoint somebody else. Do you want the resume on this person?
Yeah, I just want, if
Okay.
somebody,
I can
somebody else apply.
share the resume of this person with you, like in 2 seconds.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you're recognized, Commissioner Gilbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have several other motions while you're sharing that resume. All of them to be read by the county attorney. But the first one I'd like to talk about is the FIFA World Cup legacy projects that we have. Right now, the legacy project was slated to be completed and done in District 1. I think that based on where we are fiscally as a county, I think it's probably more appropriate for us to actually use the legacy dollars to plug some of the holes that we have for like Safe Summers and the mom and pop grants. So what I've done is talk to the administration and the host committee, and I'd like to make a motion, and the motion the attorney's going to read, this first motion, is to reprogram the legacy dollars to allow district commissioners to use those dollars in their districts for their Safe Summers, their district-related funding that we previously cut. Those projects went to help kids go to summer camp and small businesses actually meet payroll. And so I think that us being able to help the community like that will be good. I just ask that when you all do that, you all, in whatever your programming, publicity you do, this is done pursuant to our FIFA World Cup money, the same way we did for the other monies we received. That's my motion. You can read it, Mr. Attorney.
Second.
Commissioner Gilbert moves to direct the county mayor or county mayor's designee to identify $3 million in legally available funds and to allocate $1 million of said funds in fiscal year 25-26, mid-year budget adjustments and amendments, and allocate $2 million of said funds in the fiscal year 26-27 proposed county budget as follows, subject to budget and appropriation. One, $1,200,000 to the portion of the Anti-Gun Violence and Prosperity Initiatives Trust Fund that is distributed to county commission districts and dispersed in accordance with the terms set forth in resolution number R-238-21. And two, $1,800,000 in the county's to the county's mom and pop program to be shared equally by each commission district. Commissioner Gilbert further moves to direct the county mayor's designee to negotiate a grant agreement with the Greater Miami Sports Commission, Inc. for the receipt of matching funds for such programs in the amounts identified above, and to present the negotiated grant agreement to this board for approval. Thank you.
All right, it's been moved, it's been seconded.
Quick question.
Would you second it though, or?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, you said, okay, so it's been seconded by Commissioner Regalado. You recognize Commissioner Hardeman.
Just I don't have the resolution in front of me. So the resolution R45424, $3 million of pension funds. Is it our $3 million?
It's money that comes from us and the host committee. And so we directed the administration to actually provide for our match. And so we're going to use our match, but we're also using the money that they have to raise. So we're going to be getting money from them to pull into the budget for us to use in our districts for, in my instance, it'll be probably Safe Summers and Mom and Pop, but you all do whatever it is.
So we're not giving the money anymore.
It may be a recapture, but it's likely money they had to raise for the legacy project.
So the $3 million is
the $3 million we were supposed to
$3
budget to match,
right?
And
We're not going to put it into the commission disperse anti-violence thing. Well,
Yeah.
the 30%, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and so what I would like to do is I think they staggered when it was, but this should be enough money to accommodate those particular grant areas, not just for this fiscal year, but for subsequent, I think, 3 fiscal years going down the road. So the idea is that we use that FIFA host committee money to solve the problems, that gap in providing services in our individual districts that we created when we eliminated it out of the last budget.
So then the R238-21, which is in subsection 1, that's the funding mechanism that we established when we created the Anti-Gun Violence and Prosperity Initiatives Trust. I'm assuming that's what that is. The R238-21.
It was the Peace and Prosperity.
Okay, so that's perfectly fine. And then the number 2 is just how we normally do it. We split it up for the small business grants. That's correct, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you so much for the influx of dollars into our districts. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't understand this motion. What is the Greater Miami Sports Commission? What is that? What is the Greater Miami Sports Commission, Inc.?
That's through the chair.
That is the host committee for
That's the host
FIFA?
committee, I guess, for Miami, World Cup Miami.
Okay, got it. And then what is the World Cup Legacy Projects? What is that? What is the World Cup Legacy Project?
Typically, a lot of these events, through the chair, I'm sorry, a lot of these events, like when the Orange Bowl game or the Super Bowl, they often like to leave legacy projects like a football field, an athletic facility, something like that. And I think that was the legacy. I'm not sure if they ever identified a legacy project for FIFA, but I think that was the intention there.
Yeah, when we approved it, the legacy project is something that we approved to be in District 1. This is me giving you all, spreading the money countywide to help programming with, I think you started Safe Summers, but Safe Summers and the Mom and Pop and the Peace and Prosperity Funds that we don't have, so that it can go back into the community.
Okay, thank you. And so, but I'm trying to understand where the $3 million is coming from, because it directs the mayor to identify $3 million in legally available funds. So is this money, where's the $3 million coming from? That's just all I need to get clarity on. Where's the $3 million coming from?
I can explain. They're going to identify the specific spot in the mid-year, but in the real world, we've already directed the mayor to do this twice. When we passed the item initially, they were directed to outline it in the budget.
Okay, so is this part of the original FIFA host committee allocation, or is this separate and apart from the original?
This is a part of the original item.
This
was a part of it. Yeah. So which essentially changing, we're changing where we spend the money that we already directed them to.
We're clawing back.
Some of it will be recapture.
Okay.
So we know that we're going to get money, or we expect to get money, recaptured from them because they got subsequent money from the federal government and other entities. But independent of that, their charge was to go out and raise money for the legacy project. And so what we're saying is that money, the money that you were supposed to get us for the raise, the legacy project, and the money we were going to contribute for the legacy project, we're now going to use countywide in this type of programming.
Okay, I understand now. I see this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, as a recapturing. And if that's true, I would like to see more of these, right? So like when FIFA Host Committee finishes their work, presumably there will be a full accounting of every dollar that came in from the federal government, from the state, from us. Potentially there could be more money to recapture and reinvest back into our community, into our residents. So is this a one-off, or is there the intention of bringing this again in the future?
Well, this is something that exists with regard to how we're going to do the legacy project. The administration's already working on a recapture of funds from the host committee, because from our perspective, from the county's perspective, when the federal government allocated, in a fairly convoluted way, money down, it went to host committees and I think some law enforcement, but we were actually the funding source. So we believe that we should be recapturing. And Jimmy, I think this is where we are on this, right? We should be recapturing some of those dollars that wouldn't be used because they got money from the federal government. So we're trying to recapture money generally also. So yes. Jimmy, is that?
Commissioner, through the chair, there have been federal dollars that have come down for security, for example, police security, some for transportation. It's not clear how much, if anything, we'll have. The stadium, for example, and has been working with the sheriff's office and the host committee to have a more elaborate security plan that is adding some costs. So if there's money left over, that's one thing we don't know at this point. Some of those federal dollars are not usable because the contracts haven't been federalized historically. So we're and you know, I don't know if our OMB director might have a better sense, but there may be a surplus, there may not. We don't know that right now until we're really done with all the things that need to be done.
Okay, so whether we recapture in the future, that remains to be seen. But regarding the World Cup legacy projects, Commissioner Gilbert, this will be the full allocation towards that specific initiative, correct? No, Jimmy, our chief, just explained that he's not sure whether or not there will be another recapturing because it's unclear what they will have left over, if anything. My question to you is the $3 million of this item that is specifically allocated to the World Cup legacy projects, that's it for the World Cup legacy projects. Anything that is extra or anything to be recaptured in the future would go towards a legacy project.
And that's why I said with the recapture, sort of. So as a part of their master agreement, they had to actually provide the legacy project anyway. So if we didn't recapture any money, they were still obligated to do a legacy project for $3 million. Now, separately, we're trying to recapture some money from them because we believe that they received money for things that we have previously had to pay for. So we know that when they got money for security, if they don't expand anything else, they told us what their security budget was. We gave them a lot of money for that security. We want some of that money back now. So we understand that. We're working on that separately. This was independent of that. This exists. They had a requirement to do a legacy project. And Aldo asked me a good question. This isn't affected by the individual pitches that they're doing around. This was something separate. This was the larger legacy project that was scheduled to be in District 1.
So I do have a question, and I agree with this. I agree with what you're doing, and I want to just point out that the reason, at least for the mom and pop program replenishing, is because we actually took that out of this year's budget. So we're not like getting new money or anything like that. But I do have a question for the attorney, and I'm going to support this. I agree with this, but it's not the same thing. But I want to make sure that what I directed the administration to do is still getting done, which is, and again, these are motions that are somewhat on the fly. I didn't have time to get briefed on it, but I remember that I had a directive when we took some additional money for FIFA, and you'd have to jog my memory here, but I had asked, we took that money from like a healthcare line item of sorts. And I said, from last year's budget, and I said, but that has to be replenished. Now, you're going to have to like pull that up. I just, it's a little different, but it's money that we're recapturing. So where in the pecking order does that money get replenished that we borrowed from, whether it was reserves or healthcare? And again, this was what, a year, it was a year ago or whatnot. So it's, this is kind of the issue with, and we do it all the time. We're going to continue. This is kind of the issue with motions like this, is that we don't have time to, and I do them. It's not about Gilbert, obviously. We all do them. But what is, so again, I'm supportive of this motion, but when we recapture funds, in what pecking order do we start the directives of, like, y'all are giving me blind stares as if I'm speaking Chinese, Japanese, Mandarin, Portuguese. Look at these. I mean,
Mr. Chairman, it's
Through the chair.
it's not a
no one remembers this.
no.
No one remembers. I gave like a full speech on the days here.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, the challenge is it's not a. This is not, and that's why I want to push back a little bit on. It's not a pure recapturing of funds necessarily. This is not a recapturing of funds in that way. So their obligation, whether we recapture any funds, was still to have a legacy project that I guess we have $3 million and they had $3 million for the legacy project. So it's a reallocating of what was already the obligation.
All right, I'm good with it.
So it's not a recapturing.
Director, just before I move forward, and again, I'm supportive of this motion. Director? I just need a verbal from you that as you're getting ready to send us and we're working out this next year's budget, that you are accounting for all of these past directives, including the one I just brought up, to reinstate, replenish, replace the funds that we used from that account that this board supported when I gave that directive from the healthcare. I believe it was like a healthcare line item. Maybe it was just a reserve item, but I don't remember the details. It was, again, well over a year ago, but we need to make sure that, because what I don't want is that a lot of the time you all just write, the administration is your first year doing the budget, but you could write, well, we got the directive, but we just didn't have the money, and so we're not doing it.
Ray Baker, Director, Office of Management and Budget. Sir, we'll make sure that your original motion is addressed properly, along with the Commissioner Gilbert's motion as well, as part of the development of the FY 26-27 budget.
Thank you, Director. Commissioner Gilbert moves this motion. It is seconded by Commissioner Regalado. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. All right.
Another motion.
All right. I'm going to go to, you have another motion, but let me just, go ahead.
I didn't expect, I thought that was going to be the short motion because I was giving y'all money, but it's just like, it was longer. Okay, this next one is for 30 for 30. We have some appointments that we need to be made. The inaugural meeting is coming this Thursday. There were several positions that needed to be filled. I'm recommending, I think that the county attorney should have this, or you all should have it, Commissioner Bastien as the board member to replace Mayor Higgins, or Mayor Eileen Higgins. She was formerly appointed. So Commissioner Bastien, Angela Moon for under 30, Yotav Attis for media, Heather Moling from the agricultural industry, George Gonzalez, he's the head of a local bank as the local banker, and Father Fritz Belinos as the member of the clergy that has to be appointed.
All right, it's been moved. Is this for 30 for 30?
Yes.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Gilbert.
I have a question.
Seconded by Commissioner Regalado. All right, Commissioner Steinberg, you're recognized.
Okay, so I know this is a really great, vision. I love the vision of the Vision Council potentially. But I know one name at least on this list, maybe more, but I'm not sure I'm familiar with some of the members. Do you have by any chance like resume or anything that goes along with these names so we can kind of understand like who they are and how many members do we need to fill ultimately and how many members are comprised of the board? I forget.
I think this is the last county commissioner spot that we needed to fill. I think we might have resumes. I'm not sure. Angela Moon. Well, I know obviously everyone except for, well, I know who she is also. Heather Moling, from the Dade County agricultural industry. I know who she is, obviously. So George Gonzalez is the head of, what's the bank? I want to say City United Bank. It's the largest local bank that we have. He is the banking industry head. Angela Moon is under 30, which was the requirement, and she's the daughter of Jennifer Moon. Commissioner Bastian is, well, she's the commissioner. Yeah, and Father Fritz is a member of the clergy. I wanted to have him.
All right. Commissioner Bermudez.
Yeah,
Getting late, guys. Let's just get through this.
I'm going to support it, but again, it's, to me, getting these things at the last minute, and it's a smart move by Commissioner Gilbert and all of you to do it, but it's not good government, because then some of these questions could be answered, and I wouldn't feel like somebody's giving me something at the last moment and that I didn't get a chance to look into it, which is part of our purpose. So I'm going to support it because I trust Commissioner Gilbert and I trust his judgment and whatever, and this group, but this applies to everybody, including me. If I gave you something at the last moment, you should probably tell me, why are you giving it to me at the last moment? And again, I'm going to look at the world's largest, or the city's largest law firm. If they have it, we've got to have some rule somewhere that the rest of us should have it at some point before the last minute of the meeting. So I hope, Mr. Chair, that in your leadership role, you can convince all of us that we should give these things timely instead of at the last minute to our colleagues. Because it would be very good if you got it. The young man with the nice suit has been over here like 5 times. You know, I like seeing his suit, but I don't like seeing him here 5 times, with something else. And if you have it, just give it before, why wait till the last minute? It makes no difference and it looks terrible. And by the way, one of these days, somebody's going to say, well, I'm not going to vote for it because, I trust you guys and I trust Commissioner Gilbert in this, but I do think we need to get into the habit of doing things timely. And I think to the county attorney's office, if you have it, get it to us before. Or tell the assistants for us, hey, can you give it to your colleagues before?
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Show the folks appointed. All right, I'm going to give this a second bite at the whatever part of the apple is still left. Can you read? Well, you don't need to read my motion. You already read it. So Commissioner Orbis moves my motion to waive the rules unanimously on the CARE Miami's advisory board to appoint Zaba St. George Castro. It's moved by Orbis, seconded by Hardiman.
But that's what I'm confused. Why is it a waiver? Why are we waiving it?
Because the member, it has nothing to do with the committee.
Oh, that
The
part.
member.
Yeah, no problem.
You got
I am
it?
second.
All right. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. All right, show it passed unanimously as required. Now, on that note, on a very similar note, if the clerk can announce the results for the ballot that we all completed earlier.
Good afternoon. Agenda item 14B1 pertains to the appointment of a member to the Consumer Advisory for Responsive Experience at Miami International Airport Advisory Board. The ballot consisted of 3 candidates from which the board was asked to select 1 nominee. Responses to the ballot were tallied and the nominee selected is Ms. Alejandra Alex Agudin with 6 votes.
So, clerk, she announced? Okay, so who was the winner?
Alejandra Alex Agudin.
Alex. All right, congratulations to Alex for being appointed to the CARES Miami Advisory Board. All right, do we have additional? You have more? Oh, you have one. Oh, you're recognized for another motion, Commissioner.
Yeah, if you all could read my housing motion, please.
Yes, Commissioner Gilbert moves to grant
to the following developers, each of which has been conveyed certain properties through the Miami-Dade County Infill Housing Initiative Program, a 1-year extension to complete construction and obtain final certificates of occupancy for the lots listed herein, currently bearing folio numbers. For the 34 Ways Foundation, folio number 08-2122-005-0600, and for Palmetto Homes, 34-1134-006-0300, folio number 34-2105-016-5240, and folio number 34-2109-004-0290. Commissioner Gilbert further moves to 1, authorize the chairperson or vice chairperson of this board, pursuant to section 125.411 Florida statutes, to execute amended and restated deeds, amended deeds to the developers identified herein, for the properties identified herein following approval by the county attorney's office in order to grant the 1-year extensions. 2, to authorize the county mayor or county mayor's designee to take all actions necessary to exercise any and all rights set forth in the amended deeds, including but not limited to exercising the county's option to enforce its reversionary interest after conducting all due diligence, title searches, and environmental review. And 3, direct the county mayor or county mayor's designee to provide copies of the recorded amended deeds to the property appraiser, record the amended deeds in the public records, and provide copies of the amended deeds to the clerk of the board.
All right, so Commissioner Gilbert moves the item. It's seconded by Commissioner Lopez. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Show the item passed. Motions, okay, I'm coming right to you. Bermudez, do you have anything?
I just want to second Commissioner Regalato's motion because I want her to like me again.
Okay.
So when she has her motion, can you please have her?
Commissioner Hardiman, I'm sure she'll love that. You're hard to swallow. What is it? You're hard to swallow? You're hard to love. You're hard to love. You're just,
Mr. Chairman, you should bring your lunch moving forward.
Yeah, no, I need
It'll
lunch.
change the dynamic of the conversation.
I need lunch. Hardiman, you got anything? Yeah, nothing. Orbis, you got anything? Regalado, it's up to you. You're up.
If the attorneys could read it, thank you.
Pursuant to Section 2-1421D of the Code of Miami-Dade County, Florida, as amended by Ordinance 26-11, and by 2/3 vote of the board's membership, Commissioner Regalado moves that this board waive the term limit restrictions for members of the Citizen Independent Transportation Trust and reappoint Meg Daly for District 7 to the CITT for a term of 4 years.
All right, I'm gonna go, you guys. And Bermudez will move second the motion, but like I'm not doing this right now. Now he wants to speak, then she's gonna rebuttal and like.
Actually,
Commissioner
I'm
Gilbert,
just going to second the appointment. I'm going to second the.
Oh, you want to second it now? Oh, now you're Mr. Underline. Now
Oh
you're-
no. Oh no. No.
Now you're Mr. Underline.
So this is a good example of how you separate an issue from a person. This is her serving on a separate board. This has nothing to do with my disdain for us taking public money and continually pouring into the underline. That's not.
Bermudez, I'm sorry, you got
We can
bumped to the
definitely.
side.
I second the waiver.
All right,
There you go.
I appreciate.
Commissioner Steinberg is adding to it now.
And Robert Woolworth for District 4 to the CITT waiving as well. Thank you.
All right, it's been moved. It's been seconded by 2 people.
Thank you.
All right, add your CITT.
Peggy Bell, waiving, CITT District 8.
Peggy Bell. We got Peggy Bell. Anyone else? All right, we got 3 appointees waiving CITT, all of the good stuff.
Wolfarth.
You got a 4th now? You got another one?
No, it's Robert Wolfarth.
Oh, I thought you said the 4th. Be with you. That was yesterday.
Mr. Chair.
Another one? Who said Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, we also have Mary Street for District 5.
All right, District 5 , that one. I need more
Dale.
tagos. It's Taco Tuesday.
Dale, you guys
Maya.
should bring your lunch.
I need tacos. All right, it's been moved by Regalado. Is this on another CITT? No. Oh, it's been moved by Regalado, second by both Bermudez and Gilbert. You could decide, clerk, which one you want to put down. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Show the item, the motion passed. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hereby appoint Rima Bardawill to the Miami-Dade Animal Services Advisory Board. I appoint Danielle Des-Vallons to the Miami-Dade Elder Affairs Advisory Board. I appoint Yaneth Baez to the Miami-Dade Hispanic Affairs Advisory Board. And I appoint Roberto Fernandez to the Miami-Dade Small Business Enterprise Goods and Services Advisory Board.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, seconded by Commissioner Lopez. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Steinberg, do you have any appointments or no? I did it. Gilbert did his. Lopez, do you have any? No. Senator Garcia's gone. All right, guys, just like to.
One last motion, Mr. Chair.
Buy from who?
Commissioner Lopez?
Oh, she said no. I literally just asked her. All right, go ahead. Just read it in.
Commission on Human Rights.
All right. I'm not the only one that didn't have lunch today. All right. In the meantime, that they all figure out their motion. You have it? All right.
Commissioner Lopez moves to appoint Tamir Tugberg to the Miami-Dade Commission on Human Rights.
All right. Show it. Moved by Commissioner Lopez, seconded by Commissioner Steinberg. I think she saw she felt the eyes looking at her. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Guys, please remember to visit the Haitian event going on downstairs. It's been going on since about noon. So make sure that we all stop by and since we won't be here, I want to take this opportunity, reminded now by my colleague, to wish all mothers a happy Mother's Day this coming Sunday. And I don't want to throw a monkey wrench here, but I also want to say all those that are appointed to boards that are DEI, they're going to come to a conclusion January 1st. Bye.
but beneficial, and they will pay off.
The law goes into effect July 1st. For Capitol Update, I'm Vance Osteen.
The Joint Legislative Budget Commission approved a series of budget amendments to provide state agencies with the funding they need for various priorities, but a